Hey everybody, Namo here. It's Wednesday. It's close to 5 o'clock. I don't exactly know the exact time, but I just got out of the shower. Got a package today that is supposed to be the shop lights. It's a little bit smaller than I was expecting because there's 4 of them in the box, and it looks like it's big enough for 2, but I'm also used to that kind of shop light. But here's the box. There's no support in between the top, so it's really just the light tube. And with most LED fixtures, if it burns out, you have to replace it because you can't actually replace the bulbs. I'm pretty sure you can't replace these. But I have yet to get, this is the first time I pulled them out of the box. So there's manuals right there. I need to get in those, take a look at them. And I know the shop light is working right now, but apparently it burns out real quick. One bulb is already burnt out. The thing's humming pretty bad. And usually when it burns out, it's pretty warm to the touch. So it just gets hot and it shuts itself off and then it needs time to cool out. So I'm going to keep it on as long as I can keep it on, meaning I need to get one of these up quickly, plugged in, turned on quickly. That way I can get this one down and start figuring out how to hang the rest of them. Which way I'm doing it, I got to figure that out. So I'm going to start figuring that out and then I'll get back to you. Right now I've got one on. They all have these little toggle switches. So I did have it over there, but the plug for that light wouldn't reach. So I switched it over to this one. They're a little bit closer than I want them to be, and I prefer them to be, because I can't have them out here, because the garage door opens to, there's the line right there. So I've got them all hung up, all where they can all connect, and I don't need any extension cords. I will need to tighten up these cords, kind of snug them up to the roof and whatnot. But as you can see with one light on, it's just about as bright as when that was connected. So let's hit this, see what it looks like with all of them on. Much brighter, much better. Like I had the door open. That's great. That makes me happy. It makes me very, very happy. So yeah, is either get brand new bulbs and replace the ballast in that, which is going to cost about maybe $50. We're spending $50 on these for 4 lights. Makes it a whole lot brighter and easier to work and see and everything. Very happy. Good morning. It's Saturday morning, a little bit before 8 a.m. I just cannot ever sleep in. I woke up with a pretty bad sinus headache. And that is really uncomfortable to try and sleep with, because any pressure I put on the back of my head makes it worse. So laying on a pillow actually makes my headache worse. But yeah, I woke up, started getting ready. I am now having to take vitamin D and B12 because my blood work came back saying I was low and deficient on both of those. I'm also having to change my diet. Gotta stay away from heavy sugars because I'm pretty diabetic. My A1C was pretty high. Not in diabetes level, but close to it. So I've basically been told over the next 6 months I need to change my diet, Need to start getting more exercise and doing everything I can to lower my A1C. Go back in 6 months, get tested again, my blood work done again, and see where it is from there. The vitamin D, vitamin B12 supplements should be helping that as well, because both of them kind of help you absorb food and burn off energy and all that. So lots of fun. I just took my vitamins and all that, got the dogs outside. It is, I think my phone said 27 degrees. So we got frost. Dogs love it. Ematip especially. Him being a 2-coat dog, we can't pull him inside when it snows. I think I've shown that before, but he loves the cold, loves to stay out in it. We turned the heat on for a little bit last night before we went to bed, and then turned the heat off, and just laying on the foot of the bed going to sleep, he was like just burning up. So he's probably enjoying it right now. Russet only has 1 coat, but he's still a shaggy dog, so I don't really know how he handles cold. I know a lot of times we had to turn the fan on when we put him in his kennel because he would just pant the whole time. We've got security cameras, and we would check up on the dogs, and he'd just be, like he was really hot. So he probably will enjoy the cold as well. They're both running around in the backyard chasing invisible creatures. So today's plan is probably going to start off with a little bit of routine maintenance. Once I get the dogs back inside, I'm going to eat breakfast, and I've got the water hose disconnected from the rain barrels. I've got the hose, or the nozzle for the rain barrels, open because I don't want to keep water in there over the winter. I don't want it to freeze and break my barrels. So I've got the hose disconnected there. I've got to run the hose out down the front yard so that the water can drain out of it, so I can roll it up and store it properly. I need to take the hose off the back of the house. This is the 3rd morning in a row we've had frost. So yeah, we're hitting into that cold weather. So after all that's said and done, I need to get in the garage and start pulling down all those Luan panels. I know I just hung those lights up, but I'm going to have to pull them down to pull the panels down and then put the lights back up, because the next project is getting some R13 insulation and shoving it up through the floor joists, ceiling joists, floor joists, whatever you want to call them. It's the rafters in the garage that separate the garage from our room, because even though our room is carpeted, when we wake up in the mornings and we step onto the carpet barefoot, the carpet's cold, which shouldn't be. So gotta pull that Luan down. That way I can have a better idea of how the insulation that exists looks. We might just put, because they put R13. R13 is for 2x4s. R19 is for 2x8s, and R30 is for 2x10s. We have 2x10s, but we also have water pipes, drainage pipes, conduits, and like electrical running through the joists, so we can't put the R30 because there's too much stuff in there. So with there already being R13, even though it's supposed to be like, this, it's like this because it's old, it's compacted, they shoved it in there, they did a terrible job. from what I can see. I got to pull the Luan down, see how it is everywhere else. But I think we can get away with getting the R19 and installing it with the existing R13 already in it. That way we just shove it up there. There's less airspace. That way, it's better insulated, better heated. And then we should still have enough room for all the pipes and electrical and everything like that. I don't want to put the Luan back up because eventually I will be taking out the garage door and framing in a double door. That way we can actually put drywall ceiling up. We can't put a drywall ceiling up right now because the ceiling is too low, and the garage door actually rubs against the Luan that's already up there. So I would like to get drywall up there, especially since it's, code. Our home inspector even said we needed to put drywall up there as a fire break in case, there's a fire in the garage. Drywall is fire resistant, so it would be a fire break so that it wouldn't actually spread into our bedroom, or at least the idea is. It does eventually do that, but the drywall gives it a little bit of time to get out of there safely. So we need that drywall ceiling. And with the garage door leaking and not being able to be insulated very well, I'd like to just frame up that spot, put in double doors, maybe if it's big enough, a window or two. The door on the side of the house, we'd probably be framing that up and putting a window in there instead of that door. That way we don't have, two doors leading to the outside in the garage, because that would be kind of overkill. But I want to get the Luan down, put the insulation up, leave the Luan off, and we'll just deal with a naked ceiling until we're able to completely finish the garage. So once I get all the Luan down today, if I have enough time, I'll be reorganizing all my tools because they're just kind of laying on the tables right now, taking up all the room so that I can't really do any of my projects. So I'll get those taken care of, and maybe even start on a few of the projects, like trying to grind a little bit more on the hatchet head or something. I'll find something to do. We have some friends coming over a little bit after 6 to play some D&D, so I'm not going to have too much time today to piddle around, so I've got to get as much as I can get done today. So I'm going to go ahead and get the dogs in because I've been talking for 10 minutes now. This hand that I'm holding the phone with is frozen, and I need to get the dogs inside. I need to get them fed, I need to get myself fed, and start getting everything done. So, as always, I will update you as it goes. Okay, so there's been a slight change in plans because I completely forgot what the next project was, which is actually this built-in. We can't remove that shelf. It's nailed in there pretty good. It's nailed into the supports, and then in the back it's nailed through the back into the shelf itself. As you can tell from the previous shelf, see, there's the nail holes that came through the back, and then the nail holes that came through the top. So that one's in there pretty good. We're not going to remove it. But we had our Christmas tree here last year. We want to put it in here now. So we've taken the measurements. We're going to build out an extra foot. And we're going to make a little platform that will lay on the carpet, but will also go all the way inside so that the majority of the weight of the tree will sit on the platform, hold it down, and keep it level. So right now, I have moved everything out, set everything up temporarily over there. It will be put back in after the tree is down. I've moved the dog kennel over here, which we actually kind of like it right there, so that might be its permanent spot. But to prepare this, I need to remove these old supports there, and there. I need to remove this little bit of trim because we're going to be adding in a quarter round or a concaved quarter round trim that goes all the way up and down. And then once all that's removed, we're going to get some wood putty, fill the nail holes, sand everything down real nice and neat, because everything you see here is, they slapped glue to it, they slapped the stain to it. It's raised. This shelf didn't, this thing's not square, obviously, like everything else in the house. So this shelf didn't sit completely on the support. So this right here is all wood putty that I've got to get rid of. It starts here real thin and ends back here real thick. And I'm guessing this used to be their entertainment center, because we got a hole leading into her craft closet. We got a outlet there. They probably had a little TV sitting right here and all their, some drawers and things. We don't want that. So if we like the platform we build, we might just make it permanent. But for right now, the idea is to make it temporary so we can lift it up, store it downstairs when we put the tree away. And then all of this is going to get painted the same white as these shelves, so it actually matches, so that we don't have to look at these ugly lines all the time. This thing's going to actually look good. So right now I need to find some kind of tool to pop those out. I don't think I have any paint scrapers. My wife, I think, does, so I might steal hers. But I'm going to need a paint scraper. I'm going to need a hammer. I'm going to need to be able to put everything, get it behind all the supports, pry them out. And yeah, that's the project for right now. I still do want to go down into the garage and pull down the luan from the ceiling, but that could be another project for another time. I also, since we have the dog crate sitting here beside the couch now, I have a few bits of wood that I've measured out, a few bits of 1/2-inch plywood that I've measured out. I don't have a big enough sheet to cover the top of the dog kennel, but I have enough to piece together and enough to make some supports underneath. I would need to go, because I don't have any wood glue and I don't have any clamps long enough to secure everything. I would need to go get wood glue and probably borrow clamps from my parents, who are on vacation this weekend. So that's going to be a project for another time as well. My parents are the ones going to be building the little platform. They've already come take measurements. When they get back, they'll be working on that. So next weekend, they'll be coming over here for us to paint this, put it all together, so that Thanksgiving comes, the day after Thanksgiving, we can set up our tree, and everything will be ready for Christmas. So yeah, today I've got to get this prepared so that next week or next weekend when they come, it'll be a little bit easier to get everything taken care of. We won't have to spend the time pulling these apart, getting all the pieces removed. That's my homework. That's stuff I got to do before we do all that. So I'm going to get to it so that I can get it done. So a quick little update. I unplugged the hose from around the house. I can't bring it up because I do every now and then need to plug it up, run it up to the shed and water the plants in there. And we still need to be able to rinse out the compost bucket that we have in the kitchen. We dump all our scraps into it, we bring it out, dump it into compost, go back behind the house where the water hose is, rinse it out, dump the rinsed water into the compost and then, back inside. So we need to have, a hose back there still, just not connected. Now here, I took that end piece of the busted hose that I got from one of our family friends. I had already previously cut it to, I think that's about 4 feet. So I connected it there and ran it underneath the shepherd's crook that I've stuck in the railroad tie, and took a nail and nailed it into the side of the railroad tie to push the hose down. This way the faucet isn't constantly running water right here that runs back to the house. It'll be running it on this side of the railroad tie and hopefully out away from the house. This is because I gotta leave that open because I don't need standing water in there, because freezing temperatures, they would bust the barrels. So gotta leave that open so that they can drain. Alright, so far I got the trim on the front pulled off, and this stuff is either really old or just too thin and brittle. It snapped at every single nail head. So every single section is about the same length. And here's all the nails that I pulled out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 across the front in a 4-foot span. That's fine. That's understandable. This rail here, this is 2 foot deep. Completely 2 foot deep. Like it pretty much exactly 2 foot deep. So this rail, this support, is a little under 2 foot because, it ended about right there. And it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 nails through a 2 foot span. That's overkill. That's ridiculous. That's probably going to be the same there and there and there. Just stupid. Alright, so I got all of it down. All the shelf rails, all the trim. That trim was just glued in. It wasn't even tacked. So you can see here on the back of this one, all the bits of glue, all the raised bits. I mean, it's all over this. There's globs of stain sticking out. I mean, when we paint this, all that's going to show. So I've got my sanding block here with 80 grit sanding paper on it. Got another pad of 120 for afterwards. I'm going to have to sand all of this. The corners, right around in there. There's some spots, like you can see that glob running down right there. I got to sand this as best I can. That way we can get wood filler, because we got to patch that hole. This is going to be covered by, trim, but there's a gap on all this side. We got to put wood filler in those nail holes there. When they removed these, they cut the nails. So you can see right here, that's a nail sticking out. So I don't have a nail punch, but I need to be able to drive that in further. I've asked my parents if they will come here sometime during this week, so that once I get all this sanded and smoothed down, we can go ahead and put on all the wood filler and let it dry. That way when they come here Saturday to work on this platform and get this thing ready for painting, all we got to do is just sand that smooth and then put a layer of primer on it. And then we can work on the platform while that's drying. And once we're done with the platform and get it a layer of primer on it, because it'll probably be down in the basement or in the garage, and come up here and put the first coat of paint on all of this. So that way we'll be closer to ready to get this thing complete than it taking like 2 weekends. It's still going to be like a 2-weekend project, But if I go ahead and get this sanded today, if we get the wood filler, the skim coat on it halfway through the week, and then we start on the sanding, priming, and possibly first coat of paint on Saturday, then we really just have another day. I know you want attention. I know. We really just have another day of, putting another coat on it, and then putting the platform on and having it ready for when Thanksgiving is done. That way, they already said they're going to be helping me with the insulation. So if we spend all next Saturday getting the primer and first coat of paint on this and the platform done, primered, and then I can get a first coat of paint on that. Then the next time they come over, we just put the last coat of paint on this and then immediately go down to the garage and start shoving insulation in the floor joists. That's 2 weekends, 2 major projects. Both are knocked out. Time management is your friend when you're doing DIY home projects. So this right here is my granddad's chisel. This thing helped so much. As you can see, it's a bit rusty, it's a bit old. It's kind of sharp, but not as sharp as it needs to be. So this is going to be one of my winter projects, getting this thing, getting the rust removed, getting it blued again, and then sanded down, blued again, and then sharpened. So along with the hatchet, this is going to be one of my winter projects to get that thing, because it came in handy so well today. Otherwise, I had this little paint scraper, which is my wife's, and it's so flimsy, it wasn't getting behind anything. And when it would get behind something, I couldn't pry it open enough to get a screwdriver or a hammer behind it. So this came in the clutch. So I'm going to start sanding. I'm going to clean up this mess so I don't step on any nails and injure myself. But then I'm going to start sanding and getting it ready for the wood filler and the skim coat. Alright, so I got the sanding all done. I actually sanded all the surface, the sides, the back, and the bottom. All the inside of that still needs to be sanded. The bottom of the shelf does too. They didn't sand, can you hear that? They didn't sand this plywood at all. They just stuck it up there, slapped stain to it. The other issue is, just doing this, I'm worn out. I'm not even going to use that 120 on it. It's smooth to the touch at the moment. I'm happy with it. I can do that some other night if I feel like it. Right now I'm worn out. You can probably hear it in my voice because I'm a little winded. The other issue is this stupid friggin' outlet. They just cut a hole, wired this thing up, screwed it to the wood, and then caulked around it. That means there's friggin' exposed electrical touching this wood. All it needs is one short, and this whole friggin' thing goes up in flames. Stupid idiots. So that means that we gotta take that out, cut a friggin' hole in the thing, put a new box, and wire it correctly, which means that her craft closet, which you guys saw, the inside of it on the last vlog, we got to take everything out of there just to be able to get to that friggin' outlet. Yeah, I've been wearing my mask because there's a lot of sawdust, and this is really first mask I could get. I don't have any of the actual sawdust masks. But that pisses me off. If you're going to do something to your house, check code, do it right, or have a professional do it. This is stupid. This is stupid. Now I gotta fix it, which is gonna make this project even take longer. So I completely forgot. Last week I had talked about putting the tarp on the air conditioner. So there's the tarp. But I needed to put a strap on it. And I have this really short ratchet strap, so I threw it around it. That way the wind can't pick the tarp up and, rip it off the air conditioner. And, it's not going to get any water in it. The tarp I got might be a little too small, but the electronics are here, the internals are under there, so any water that's going to get in, raining straight in from here isn't really going to affect it much. So that should be good for the winter, and hopefully everything will be okay when we put it back in the window in the spring. So we went to Lowe's not long after, I got kind of mad about the outlet in the built-in. I have a few other outlets in the house that need replacing that are not safe. You plug something into them, it works, but it only works for a little bit, and then it stops working. And around the plugs, around the the holes where the plug goes in, it's a little bit black. So they're kind of old outlets. So I think there might be a little bit of a short in them. So we've stopped using them completely because I don't want there to be a short, cause a spark, house fire, all that. So found a pack of 10 outlets. That way I've got extras. If I ever need to replace any more outlets, I can replace the one in the built-in if it needs it. I also bought a remodel box. So you cut a hole, you put the box in, and then it's got these little flaps that when you start tightening down the screws, they come up and they hold tight against the back of the drywall or whatever you put it in. So you don't have to attach it to a stud. So we're going to have to cut that hole out. We're going to have to put that box in, and we're going to have to rewire that outlet. If the outlet looks bad at all, then I'm just going to put a new outlet in it. And then I'm going to change out all the outlets in the dining room because that's the ones we're having the problems with. And then I should have extras for any time I need any other outlets changed out. Now, code now is, it's not really requiring them, but it is favoring the tamper-resistant outlets. The tamper-resistant outlets for a 10-pack was like $10 or $12, and the 10-pack for the ones that I bought was like $5, and they're not tamper-resistant. So it should be fine. We don't have kids that are so young that they're sticking knives and forks in outlets to, figure out what the heck it does. So I think we should be fine. As a homeowner, you don't have to follow code. You're doing it yourself. You don't have to follow code. It's better that you stick to code. But at this point in time, it's still about a week away from a paycheck, and I'm running a little low on money. So you never know when I might need that extra $5, but it'll be fine. I just got to get a tester from work. It's this little thing you plug into the wall outlet. It lights up to show you that electric's on. I have somebody watching it as I go downstairs and turn off the breakers. Because even though the electricians came in and replaced the breaker box, upgraded it, they didn't do the best of jobs of labeling stuff because they just turned on a breaker, would go up and start plugging their tester into outlets until something lit up. And not every outlet in the room is on the same breaker because they added extra outlets later on and tied it into a different room. Nothing is how it should be. So we just gotta go in, flip some breakers, and hope that it turns them off, because I'm not good enough to do an outlet swap or a switch swap with live wires. My previous supervisor, who I've talked about before, he would switch stuff out while it was live without having a problem, and I just don't want to do that. We have had family members that have been injured and died from being electrocuted, so I'm not dealing with that. I'm gonna shut everything off and work on a cold wire. Just better to do that and be safe than dead. So pretty much where we're at now, pretty much where we're stopping at now. Like I said, we have friends coming over here in a few hours, so I need to go inside and vacuum the carpet and dust off all the surfaces because there's sawdust everywhere. And I didn't expect that much sawdust to be everywhere. So I gotta go clean it up, and then we should be good for D&D. So this is it for me for this vlog. Pretty sure it's a long one because I have been long-winded and I have done a lot of stuff. So as always, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. My handles are at the outro of the video. My links are in the description. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell because I do post every Monday and Friday, and on occasion on Wednesdays. So if you ring the notification bell, you'll be notified every single time something goes live. And just like, sharing, subscribing, commenting, all that really helps me out, helps me grow the channel, and I would really appreciate it. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.